A youthful lady named B. Lou tells her story. She utilized to work as a supervisor and traveled apart around the world. Presently she lives in Korea with her mother and her youthful girl who knows nothing. Lou continuously needed to be her companion, but couldn't, and presently she needs to undertake once more. After all, the young lady won't keep in mind that she kicked the bucket, but Bailey will presently gotten to be an paleologist, which she had imagined of since childhood. This story has been like numerous others is being tuned into and altered by Han Soo, the collaborator to the senior chief who works at the Wonderland organization. He wraps up his work, and after that Bailey finds herself at the air terminal, where she meets a youthful man. She tells him around her family and how she cleared out her girl with her mother and is presently flying to the forsake for an exhuming. They trade phone numbers, and the lady heads to boarding before long. She is at the location. B. Lee appreciates everything around her, the scents, the camels, and the local people who welcomes her. She instantly calls her mother and appears her girl a camel and in another loft. A phone rings from the virtual soil, and space traveler Taiju calls from space to wake up his sweetheart flight specialist Young and jokes with her and talks approximately the climate and gives exhortation for the up and coming day. Afterward, the flight specialist arrives at the air terminal, and when her colleague welcomes her to the cinema she calls the space explorer. He cheerfully concurs to let her go to the motion picture and indeed offer to book tickets for the couple. In any case, the A-stunned colleague runs absent within the evening. They reconnect, and he appears her the idiosyncrasies of space, and she appreciates their discussion. She abruptly inquires him to sing for her, and he instantly pulls out a guitar and sings around his adore. For her, after supper, she goes to the clinic where her space traveler lies in a coma in an isolated ward within the office of Wonderland. The senior director catches his right hand is doing something interesting. Perusing verse, it turns out they're following the client may be a youthful man imagining of getting to be an performing artist. They are creating this profile for his grandma, and the another day, they take her a tablet. The understudy talks approximately his life in London and how he will before long take an interest in a play. The lady detests his European equip, and when the session closes, she inquires how she can send her grandson ordinary dress. The partner the supervisor appears her a menu where she can select and things she likes, pay for it, and send it to her grandson. Afterward, they go to lunch, which is hindered by a call from her guardians. The mother chastens her girl for eating ineffectively and being alone. Her assistant pretends to be her boyfriend. The elderly couple inquires a parcel of questions, and the young lady concurs to play the couple. The collaborator looks at her family photographs and realizes that her the father could be a or maybe popular writer, and the boy tells the man almost his mother and how his father cleared out him long back, and he doesn't know where he is presently. That the girl's the father peruses his poetry, and they gather on a really positive note. The boy clears out. The young lady washes the dishes, whereas tuning into her parents' reflections on their girl and her companion, and after that detaches from the broadcast. She at that point sits at the table for a long time, recollecting the discussion, whereas Ba Lee's mother appears her girl a recording of a kindergarten occasion where her girl is moving to a cheerful music the lady appreciates playing in conjunction with, and at that point tells the young lady a story almost to the tree of life, which agreeing to legend is found right where they are burrowing. She exhorts the young lady to work out to be solid in case she needs to gotten to be an paleologist, but all of a sudden behind Ba Lee there are yells, almost a few revelation. She rapidly detaches, but at that point she recalls how she was continuously active and once in a while talked to her girl. Returns to the burrow and calls the young lady once more to apologize and guarantee to continuously remain in touch. At night, she gets a call from the man from the airplane terminal, and they conversation for a long time, approximately life. Lady concedes that everything around her appears unbelievable for a few reasons. He affirms everything around them is fair a dream. The another morning, the flight orderly gets staggering news her boyfriend has suddenly come out of his coma. She surges to the clinic, where the specialists clarify that the boy may be muddled and have trouble with day-by-day errands, but everything ought to in the long run progress. The flight specialist grins cheerfully, and all of a sudden, the space traveler calls her since her membership is still dynamic. The young lady rejects the call and goes to Tayu. He begins to keep in mind her, and before long returns domestic. The flight orderly appears him their ancient recordings, trusting he will completely recuperate it to begin with. Everything appears to go well, but one day Tayu seriously burns his hand, which enormously upsets the young lady. Whereas the supervisor and her partner visit another client of their service, a middle-aged man orders his modern presence in Hawaii. He truly needs to see long-term conditions in development, but the supervisor disillusions the client. Must be physically dead, or at slightest in a coma. The man at that point inquires to form him more youthful and sends the couple his ancient photographs. Afterward, the right hand surveys them and finds a photo of his mother holding a child. Another to this man. He realizes that usually his father. He tells everything to his boss afterward. The couple goes to lunch and all of a sudden sees the student's grandma, who educates them that she should work part-time to fulfill her grandson's wants. She as of late bought him a car, but the boy didn't like it. She reached her grandson, but he talks discourteously courteously to her and rapidly disengages. The chief and her assistants are exceptionally UPS'd by this. Turn-up occasions and guaranteed to supplant the car for complimentary in the evening. Partner goes to his father's ward to confess their relationship, but the man is now not there. He at that point goes to the funeral where the perished enter atomic with relatives by means of a huge screen, cheerfully welcoming everybody who came to see him off. He indeed reminds a companion approximately his obligation. The boy tries to confess who he is, but never finds the boldness afterward. He contacts his father to discover out how he is doing. The father guarantees him that everything is extraordinary. At that point the match plays tennis with the boy. Shocked by his father's stamina at B, Lee's house mother inquires her girl to disengage. Since the young lady has long since fallen snoozing, the girl offers to bring her mother a gift, but she disengages the contraption sometime recently, hearing the conclusion. At that point she calls Wonderland since she extreme to halt utilizing the benefit and tell the young lady the truth. Biley meanders through an eastern city and once more meets her used associate with the lady isn't at all shocked and tells him around her issues with her mother. Abruptly he listens his title, steps absent for a minute and finds himself in Wonderland. It turns out he is a representative of the firm and is dependable for checking the expired in their modern life. He is concerned almost by Lee's condition and is educated that her benefit will before long conclusion. When the man returns to within the recreation, the lady is upbeat and appears how she utilized to move, whereas in the flight attendant's flat phone rings, her boyfriend's companion is stressed almost his condition. But the young lady prompts him not to stress, everything will before long be fine. She feels unwell and can't discover any fever-reducing medication. She, at that point, dials the astronaut's number, promptly tells her where the tablets are, and stresses around her well-being. The young lady lies down but is before long stirred by music and voices. It turns out my boyfriend brought a few outsiders domestic since she needed to have fun. Doesn't get it why she is disturbed, and the young lady clears out the house and meanders. The roads contact the space traveler once more and inquires him to return to her as before long as conceivable, whereas B calls her girl and tells her a story, almost the grandma, requests that she put down the phone and sit at the table, but the young lady tosses a fit, and Biley all of a sudden says that she will take her girl when she develops up. This causes an upheaval of feeling from the grandma, who disengages the contraption. She tells the young lady that they will before long move to her city. She tells B. Lou almost this B doesn't get it why they got to move since everything is set up here. Kindergarten companions and flat she guarantees to come to angers the grandma. She tosses the phone absent, and B. Lou is totally confounded and capable to get it what happened to the flight specialist, whereas is getting prepared for her following flight and surges out of the house, overlooking her phone. At this exceptionally minute space traveler calls her and picks up the phone, but the flight orderly returns and seeing this lose her mood. He is rummaging through her things, being discourteous and isn't at all like he utilized to be. Runs out and answers the space explorer's call. On the road, he talks almost how the soil is blue and wonderful and wishes a great day at work. Within the evening, the flight orderly returns domestic and abruptly sees that their house is on. Afterward, she has appeared a video where Tayo is seen taking off the flat. In no time, sometime recently, the fire begins, but the flight orderly demands he had nothing to do with it. They are discharged since there's no proof. She inquires him to be more cautious, and he insists he isn't blameworthy. The young lady educates him that she is flying to Barcelona tomorrow, and all of a sudden begins crying that evening. The supervisor calls the understudy utilizing his grandmother's contraption. He is irritated since he is exceptionally active with practices. He is shocked that his grandma didn't purchase him another thing, but the young lady advises him that the ancient lady has kicked the bucket. The benefit will be halted within the recordings of their discussions will be spared for future demands. Another morning, B's mother and girl arrive at the air terminal, but whereas the lady is diverted for a minute, the young lady runs off and the grandma reports it to the police. Fair at that point, B. Lou calls her, assaults her mother with questions, and the lady, incapable to bear it, tells her that she isn't the mother of this fanciful woman. B hangs up, and at that minute she gets a notice that the benefit has been suspended. At the same time, Tayo arrives at the airplane terminal and illuminates the flight specialist that he will fly with her. Fair at that point, space traveler calls Tayo desirous of the caller, and she appears him is twofold. TJU is shocked by this reality, and the young lady says she missed him exceptionally much. She permits him to fly with her, but he runs out of the cabin. He then sits within the airplane terminal, relaxed for a long time, observing the planes, whereas Bilou wakes up to her daughter's voice. She opens her eyes and sees the young lady, who is upbeat to have found her mother. The lady runs after her, move through diverse areas, but she can't capture up with the child anyplace. The mother's phone doesn't reply. Bilou gets into a car and drives absent from the prehistorian camp. In spite of their abruptly, she finds herself in precisely the same scene as when she to begin with arrived. Within the leave, the same camels and drivers welcome her and turn around, makes a circle and once more runs into the drivers. The lady turns around once more and abruptly sees a sandstorm drawing closer. She steps on the gas and she drives indiscriminately through the storm and in Wonderland. B. Lee's actuation flag goes off. The director and her associates do not get it how this could happen, but the lady is getting closer to the working framework that undermines a system-wide disappointment over all areas. Glitches start as the climate break down. Lightning strikes at this minute. Benefit laborer is sent after by Lee, catches up with her car and pulls the lady out and lays her on the ground, telling her that everything around her may be a dream she must accept in reality, and it will come by. Lee abruptly sees a gigantic the burning tree before her. Framework signals an extraordinary stack, and the partner chief proposes erasing all of B's records, but his boss abruptly objects as reproducing the lady precisely as she was won't be conceivable. Knows this since she did the same with her guardians and presently lamented. The young lady approaches the screen on the other side of which Lou shows up. They reach out to each other, and all of a sudden everything collapses. The framework starts to close down. The director realizes that Lee needs something past their benefit. She inquired to open the woman's profile, and Lou abruptly finds herself at the airplane terminal at this time. Taya gets a call from an obscure number, and when he answers, listens B's voice arguing for offer assistance to discover her girl. And fair at that point the boy sees the young lady running out the entryway of a benefit region. He oversees to spare her from an oncoming support vehicle and brings her back to the terminal. The young lady says she needed to fly to her mother, tells her that her mother called him and inquired him to hold up for her, but at that point the grandma finds them. The young lady inquired to call her mother and the grandma gives her the phone. Lou quickly answers and says she is at the air terminal. The stunned grandma can't get it. How is this conceivable? They look for the lady, and she abruptly says that she passed on, but the young lady still inquires to call her and examined her stories. Her mother concurs to do anything she needs. Much appreciated her mother for everything she does for her girl and guarantees to be a great mother to her within the another life. At this time, the Wonderland laborers see the framework come back to life, in spite of the fact that I do not get it what happened. Fair at that point, the flight specialist calls, needing to cancel her membership. Sense of her has returned afterward. They accommodate the young lady, reviews the great things that happened between them, embraces the boy and doesn't let him go. The space traveler in the world tells her that he is coming domestic. Notice almost the suspension of benefit shows up on her phone at the air terminal. Bailey talks with the benefit representative once more. He wishes her a secure travel, and the lady waves farewell. At some point afterward, the right-hand supervisor meets his mother and calls his father. Recognizing the man, the lady apologizes for taking off him without clarification. He excuses her and inquires for her number. World where the living can't let go of the dead and the dead can't be overlooked. Subscribe to watch more videos like this. Leave a comment about your favorite movie and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.